Hey traders from around the world, what's going on? It's your boy Jeremy Alexander Newsome with reallifetrading.com. I trust you're doing splendid. Markets are loving that I'm back in action. Look at Tuesday. Wow. Tuesday, yesterday, what a crusher. Beautiful bullish gap and go on the SPY and pretty much any other stock you were trading. The analysis from yesterday was buy the dip on pretty much everything. That was from Tech Giant Tuesday. Huge bullish gap and go. And of course, we know, if I just hide this line for a moment, we know that any gap up was going to get faded today because you had so many people. Again, this was a 2% day yesterday on the SPY. Nice bullish gap and go, strong move, gap up, 2% move yesterday. Tons of people profitable, so there was just a lot of selling. And the good news is this morning, in the day trading room, I was day trading and leading the crew this morning. Here was the trade that Thomas and Robert Falco and a few other traders were able to snag on the SPY. You'll notice beautiful hammer, massive volume, gorgeous spot to go long. Entry here, stop there would have worked. This was also a Morningstar reversal pattern, so even if you played it with an entry above the high with a stop down here, that one worked out really well. So you got this double bottom, it broke, retested the neckline, continued, retested again. So just a great move. Congrats to Thomas and Mr. Robert Falco and a few other traders who were able to snag the SPY bullish day with that dip buying opportunity. Guys, shout out to my buddy in Australia, Ricky Cadan, who posted a really good chart showing that the SPY would most likely pull back today into those levels. Here's the hourly time frame, and if I turn on the moving averages, you'll notice that it really did, break out of a good resistance, old resistance, new support, broke out, pulled back, bounced, and we did again. So I think overall we likely do slowly grind and climb higher on the spiders. This blue line right here kind of shows, I kind of think that's what happens. We eventually go a little bit higher. I don't know exactly where we pause. I wish I did. Don't know for sure. Maybe around 284, possibly 282.50, but we'll likely pause, have a little bit of a pullback, another higher low, most likely will come in, and then from there, maybe a little bit of standard rally action into November, December, and possibly we see new all-time highs before the end of the year. That's a pretty strong probability in my opinion. But that is the SPY. The best trade of the day that the traders took today was on Netflix. The rare trade that I posted actually before market open. So let me scroll up over here, and this was 8:28, 8:29 a.m., 1 minute before market open. Jason says Netflix is a good bullish retest opportunity this morning, and I said I'm fading it, Jason, mostly because it was a great gap, but there was so many people who were bullish on Netflix yesterday, and all of those traders were locking in profits today. So here's your bullish candle, very nice, strong bullish candle on Netflix, gapped up to a resistance. That Netflix really did have superb earnings again. Not that anyone doubted that. But yeah, Netflix, nice white candle, bouncing off the 200. I actually thought that they were going to gap down on good earnings and fill the gap, but that's not what happened. It actually faded the other direction, gapped up, and then traded down. And that's kind of what I mentioned yesterday. This was actually my setup here on Netflix. We'll come over here to a 5-minute chart and kind of talk a little bit about how I was planning on fading this one this morning. And I really did get pretty lucky with this setup, not going to deny that at all. The original stop was way the heck up here. That was the original stop. And you'll notice, let me just turn off the long-term moving averages. Again, it was a bullish retest gap. I knew a lot of people were going to sell and lock in a profit. Ever since yesterday, we were making lower highs, right? Ever since the earnings came out, we had a big, giant bullish candle, and then we just started slowly selling off. And when this bullish candle came in, and towards the end, right before market open, started seeing some bullish candles breaking down. And really, right before market open, if I kind of zoom in, what was interesting to me, and the reason I posted the setup, was because this bullish candle right here, we were closing below the low of that bullish candle. We were closing below some support. And I said, all right, I'm just going to set up an entry. Again, my stop was really far away. Stop was way the heck up here. And I was like, all right, let's see what we get. Let's see if it breaks old support, new resistance, and a retest. And it did. And we triggered within 2-3 minutes of market open. And then it just crashed. Traded right to the target, 365.98. This purple line was the 100 simple moving average on the daily. And I think this is actually where Jason Smith went long, and he made 250 bucks, he said today. Quick sell-off into the 100 simple. There was your bounce. And again, that doesn't look like a lot. That's almost 10 entire points. 10 points on Netflix. I mean, that is a huge, huge move. And again, it was on a retest gap, so you most likely knew it was going to fade, retest, and then kind of bounce around a little bit. Obviously, you could have held it for a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with the gain. So what does Netflix do from here? Kind of the blue line, I think. We get a little bit of a rotation. We kind of chop around, fill the gap some, but eventually go higher. I think that that's a nice move. I did lose the wager on Netflix, though. I posted a wager back in here that Netflix would hit 300 before earnings. It got close with 310, but close is not the same as accurate. So I lost that wager. So stay tuned for sometime next week for the webinar where I'm giving away 2 Netflix subscriptions. That's right, that was the wager, so be there for that. Speaking of webinars, make sure to join the webinar that is today. In fact, it is at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, where I'm discussing the details and events for the next live event that I'm putting on. A lot of traders were talking about the live event in Nashville earlier today and just brought back some good memories. Another one around the corner. It's going to be in May of 2019. Join me for the webinar. If you need the email invitation, it's in your inbox, also in the description box in this YouTube channel video. Check it out. Be there or be a triangle. IQ was a trade that I did lose on today. Closed out a loss on IQ. This was a trade that was set up back on the 17th of September, about a month ago, and about a month ago, exactly a month ago. And that was on this day right here. So on that day, I set up some puts, bought an absolute zero, October 25 puts, regular October. And I could have exited those puts right here, but I was on vacation. I could have gotten out for about 0.25 R gain. Very small, wouldn't have been a big winner. But since they expired, they do expire this Friday, and it was a bullish gap and go this morning that actually did not go at all, but I did watch it. I'll zoom into the 5-minute chart. Anyway, ended up selling those puts for a loss, but it really wasn't a tremendously awful loss, about 0.6 Rs. So overall, almost 1.2 Rs on the day, because I got 1.8 Rs, a little bit more than 1.8 Rs on Netflix, and lost 0.6 and some change on IQ. So overall, positive, profitable day. That's always nice. Yeah, so what happens on IQ? It was a good bullish gap and just immediately free fell, right? Opened and just tanked. And then this third bullish candle came in. We took out that low and it just never turned around, never went bullish. So I never took a trade on it. Talk about, that was a good trade that I didn't do anything on. Let's talk about a trade that I missed badly. Home Depot. Ticker symbol HD. Now, I'm not going to cry too much about this trade because we did have a lot of traders snag some beautiful gains on Home Depot, but this was a lovely gap. Let's talk about why this gap was so perfect in every way. Number one, yesterday's candle makes a higher high and a higher low. So you know for sure people were taking that bullish. Number two, it's doing something different than the broader market. This is a pretty blue chip stock on the Dow. Home Depot gapping down when most of the market was up this morning. Up a little bit, not down as much as this was. So it was doing something different than the market, even though it was a broad market stock, doing something totally different. And it was not on earnings. So no one really expected it. Earnings gaps are super fun. I love trading them, but people do expect stocks to gap on earnings. So I love it when a stock gaps not on earnings because it shocks people a little bit more. Then also you have the fact that it just opened right below the low of that bullish candle, and it opened below this purple line, which is the 200 simple on a daily chart. So if I pull that up, there was the 200 simple. So just a nice gap every way about it. This was one that we did have some traders. Neil Osborne made some money on this one. David made some good money on this one. Here's how I drew it. So I set this one up and just honestly got preoccupied with Netflix, because when Netflix hit the target, I flipped over to Netflix because that happened about 6 minutes into the market, and just didn't place Home Depot in time. But here's what I was wanting to do. Trade came down, traded up, and right here, right when it was hitting that, I said, all right, everyone, look for some reversal signals. Get ready to go bearish on Home Depot. Here's your evening star reversal pattern. And when I set the trade up the second time, I wanted an entry there with a stop right about there. And on a 2-minute chart, I asked for some buying to come in. So let me slip to a 2-minute chart, and I'll kind of show you that. All right. So here's the 2-minute. And when this broke down on the 2-minute, I was working on setting up an entry to short there with a stop there. Didn't get filled, obviously. So once I didn't get filled on that, and then it dropped, I was debating on setting up an entry here with a stop up here. Missed that one. And then another one, when it came down here, traded up and started forming this pattern, this kind of evening star pattern with the support. Again, I was looking at going short right here. If that candle was bullish instead of bearish, I would have gotten in. But alas, I did not take Home Depot. Didn't see anything. It didn't do exactly what I asked it to. And I had already made money on Netflix, so I did not want to give any of that money back. Too bad. The other good news is, if you did play just a simple 5-minute high wave bullish candle with good volume, your entry was there, stop was there, you made money on the trade, about an R overall. So good trade on that on Home Depot. Anyway, perfect gap. My takeaway was, I'm sure some new traders out there will learn a little bit more about the gap and go based on today's gap on Home Depot, and that will help them in their future trade. That was my big takeaway. But yeah, that one and Lowe's, both were pretty solid. Lowe's also retested the 100 simple on a daily and failed that as well with some decent bearish movements. Other than that, didn't take any other day trades. It was just Netflix, looked at IQ, looked at Home Depot. Those were the trades I was focusing on the most today. Did not trade IBM, even though it was a good bearish gap and it would have worked. Really nice bearish gap and go. I also did not get the candle pattern that I wanted on IBM. Here is the 5-minute chart, and wow, that's a really beautiful afternoon breakdown right there. Very pretty breakdown and retest. It's actually one of my favorite patterns, like that triangle pattern late in the afternoon. Anyway, here's the breakdown, here's the S-curve, here's the rollover. So if you did play that in some distinction over here, if you were watching it on a 2-minute or 1-minute or 3-minute, there were some entries and there was some setups. By the time I was looking at IBM, it was right about there and had already retested with that upper shadow. I was looking at playing it potentially entry there, stop up here. The reason I didn't is because I didn't think the risk reward was that great, and honestly it wasn't. Had I played it perfectly, I could have gotten 1R on it, but most likely I would have had an entry around here and would have gotten trailed out for like 0.2 Rs or something. I didn't take the afternoon breakdown though. That's a shame. That's a beautiful setup. Man, look at that. Breakdown, retest, off. Gone with the wind. My boy Troy said he got embarrassed with some call sales on IBM. I do like the gap and go. It was a nice gap. You definitely at least got the direction right. I don't think anyone was going bullish on IBM today. And if you did, you probably had some opportunities to get in bullish and make a little bit of money. But here's the weekly chart on IBM, and it's also was at a really good weekly support. So we'll see what IBM does. The original blue chip, but it looks like this blue chip is going to slowly and ever so quietly continue down just a little bit lower. Square, a lot of people requesting Square over the last few days. I love this gap on Square yesterday. I love the retest that came in today. Let me just hide the drawings. So this was the retest, and I love it. I think it's perfect. That's exactly what Mr. Squiggles wanted Square to do yesterday. This blue line is exactly what I drew on Square about an hour into market open. And yeah, nice trade, nice pullback, beautiful S-curve, solid bounce. For those who have put sales or shares or longer term, something on Square, great. And if you don't, I think it could slowly go higher before we have one more rotation down. I don't think the market just flies out of here like this. I mean, it certainly could, but what makes the most sense to me is we get like an ABC move up into around here. We have one more kind of gnarly retracement, and then most likely a continuation higher. Not only on Square, but just the market in general. That makes a lot of sense. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. One other trade that I did, we set up today officially. I bought back the 3D put sale. So DDD, this was one that actually worked out pretty well for about $1/4 of an R. $14 October put sale. That was one that we got in to all the way back here in August. So that one bought to cover today. Many traders did. And then Nvidia. NVDA is the newest put sale for December, which is over earnings. This is the only December option that real life traders we have sold right now. It is over $50 away from the stock price. It's below the 100 simple on a weekly chart. And Nvidia is hanging out at the 50 EMA on a weekly right now. First time since February 2016. So all I'm saying is if it does trade down to 170, I don't think that will be a horrible location to actually go along AMD, but most likely that one will be able to be purchased back for a gain in the not too distant future. That's pretty much it. Hopefully that update was helpful. If you have any questions, get at me. My email address, jeremy@reallifetrading.com. You know where to find me. Post some comments if you have any. I hope to see you at the live event presentation tonight, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. If you have any questions about that, let me know. And until then, love life, trade it. Bye.